in church, and once in a while, Mom would let me go back and sit with somebody, and if I was talking or passing notes, Dad would stop in the middle. He'd go, Jamerl, front row. And I hate church. My mom, are we already on the World Wide Web? Oh, well, I better not tell that then. My mom from the organ during Victory Jesus, go snatch me up, take me to Sunday school room, wear me out, and be back before the song was over. Hey, Patricia. All right, it is a beautiful day. I'm glad that you're here. Those of you who are just logging on the World Wide Web, we welcome you. You know, when I say World Wide Web, I'm being facetious. I know it's no longer called that. On the internet. On the intranet. Isn't that what that thing's called? It's going to be a good day. I'm glad that you're here. I think some people are driving through the rain, so we may have some late people, but it's all right. Y'all are here, and that's what matters. We're already centered. We're already serene. We're already in receptive mode. This has been a good month. Good words, good music, good vibrations. Today we will continue in this flow. Every time you come, your battery, it's not just that your battery gets charged, but we all, like, I say this, some of the things I taught last week, I can tell are working in me. Like there's like incremental, like, oh, okay, well I feel different now. Like something came up about somebody, did it bother me? I'm like, oh my God, it doesn't bother me. And I thought, I really mean that. It's like once we said it out loud, it kind of creates a new reality. So I can tell you all are all in agreement with that. So let's go ahead and start officially, and we'll get in the flow.
Metron is measure or sphere of influence.
Get Jonah off the road.
And we want to help you find your metron through motivation, enlightenment, transcendence, renewal, outreach, and networking. Today is your day to find your metron, and we hope you enjoy the service.
Good morning. Welcome to Metron, beautiful people, and give yourselves a hand for making it here on this beautiful day. It's always a beautiful day. The sun's always shining. Sometimes you don't see it under the clouds of the April sky, but it's always there. And Ken's on call this week, so he's not here, so shout out to him, and thank you again for your expressions of love for his birthday. He was trying to answer everybody, and he was freaking out about it. I said, Ken, you just can't. I said, you just have to go do a, like, thanks everybody. But I don't think, he was raised, you write, he'll probably write thank you notes to everybody. I'm like, you don't have to go that far, but anyway. Yeah, Jonah is supposed to be working on a new one of these. He's in a series of, some of you know Jack White from the White Stripes. Their band is opening for them. This Wednesday of this week, I was waiting out in front of the school to pick up the girls, and one of the dads who's standing out there with me said, I just heard your son interviewed on WABE. He said, did you hear it? I said, well, which son? He said, the one that's in a band. I said, well, they're all in bands. He said, well, the one that's a musician. He said, well, they're all musicians. He said, the one that's famous. I said, well, they're all kind of famous. I'm not trying to be smart. He said, his name starts with a J. I said, all their names starts with J. And I could tell he thought I was being a jerk. I'm like, no, I'm telling you, I don't know who you're talking, because they're all interviewed a lot. I don't know who you're talking about. And then he said, they're in a band. It's the name of a girl. I said, oh, Mateel. Okay, that's Jonah. Yes, thank you. He said, you haven't heard the interview? I said, no, obviously I haven't. I will try to find it and listen to it. But anyway, they're all out doing their thing. We've been doing series of interviews this week for whatever's going to happen with this production company. I'm just going with it. Like, well, we'll see what happens, and something's always trying to be birthed, and you have to figure out which of the limitless dimensions of the multiverse is going to find its way, which Logos is going to be made flesh, because there's infinite possibilities all around us. And so you have to find the agreement, the wavelength, the right words that manifest the right reality, because every word that you speak, every thought that you think creates some reality in one of those dimensions. We thought Dr. Cho was off the charts when he talked about the fourth dimension, and then quantum physics comes along and says there's 18. Now they're saying they're limitless dimensions. So anything is possible. I mean, and the warning about anything is possible, it means anything is possible. It's not just good stuff. I mean, it means you have to always, keep that tongue, which is the rudder of the ship, keep it in the right passageway. And so there we have. There's your sermon for today. God bless you. Drive safely. Alex, come on and start getting your stuff together. And I definitely bonded with Alex this month, and I think it's safe to say this will not be the last time that we see him. April has 5 Sundays, so he'll be with us again next week. May be bringing somebody with him. That's awesome if he can. If not, he's fine by himself, and we're good with whatever. But I love his approach to worship. I don't find it irrelevant, which a lot of worship now seems irrelevant to me. His doesn't. I just think it's a perfect fit. He has a regular gig at a church, and they've given him the blessing of being here this month. But it's been a good thing. I'm really glad that it worked out this way, and I love his gift. I love his spirit. So without any further ado, would you please welcome our friend, our brother, Alex Marion. Alex?
Good morning. Can we all sing this together? How great is our God? Sing with me. How great is our God? And all will see how great is our God. You guys sound amazing. One more time. How great is our God? Sing with me. How great is our God? And all will see how great is our God. Sing the next part. You're the name above all names, worthy of all praise. And my heart will sing how great is our God. One more time. You're the name above all names, worthy of all praise. And my heart will sing how great is our God. It's a little different. Say, open the floodgates of heaven, let it rain. Just like that. Let's sing it out one time. Say, open the floodgates of heaven, let it rain, let it rain, let it rain. Open the flood. Say, open the floodgates of heaven, let it rain, let it rain. Say, open the floodgates of heaven, let it rain, 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 let it rain. As a family, sing it out. Let it rain, 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 let it rain. Let's sing it. Let it rain, let it rain, God, let it rain, let it rain, 'cause you're the name above all names, and worthy, worthy of all praise. And my heart will sing, how great is our God. One more time, you're the name above all names, worthy of all praise. And my heart will sing, how great is our God. Well, put your hands together. Hallelujah. You guys can take your seats. So, in the meantime, as I tune my guitar, can I share a little bit of my background with you guys? So originally, I am from Jacksonville, Florida. Anyone know where that is? Yes. A little county there called Duval County. It was pretty nice when it wasn't, too hot or, we're having 110-degree weather. But aside from that, it's pretty good. I'm 22 years old. Who said he's a baby? Yeah, so I attend Georgia State, and I major in psychology, but I concentrate in biomechanics. Yeah, it's a little piece of me. So hopefully this guitar is together by now. Close enough. Perfect. Yeah. Almost there, guys.
Take your time, it's all right. We just thought it was a new song you wrote. The way these kids will sing today.
Hopefully, I think you guys might know this song. Say again? Oh. There it is. When your legs don't work like they used to before, and I can't sweep you off of your feet, will your mouth still remember the taste of my love? Will your eyes still smile from your cheeks? 'Cause darling, I will be loving you till we're 70. Yeah. And darling, my heart will still fall as hard at 23. And I'm thinking about how people fall in love in mysterious ways. Maybe it's all part of a plan. Yeah, me, I fall in love with you every single day. And I just wanna tell you I am. So darling, now take me into your loving arms. Kiss me under the light of 1,000 stars. Lay your head on my beating heart. Thinking out loud, maybe we found love right where we are. my hair's all gone and my memory fades, and the crowds don't remember my name. When my hands don't play the strings the same way, oh, I know you will still love me the same. 'Cause darling, your soul will never grow old, it's evergreen. And darling, your smile's forever in my mind and memories. Yeah, I'm thinking about how people fall in love in mysterious ways. Maybe it's all part of a plan. Yeah, me, I fall in love with you every single day. And I just wanna tell you I am. So baby, now take me into your loving arms. Kiss me under the light of 1,000 stars, and lay your head on my beating heart, thinking out loud, baby, we found love right where we are.
And she probably has a middle name. Sarah Jane, Sarah May,
Sarah Lee. Pastor, is it okay if I sing one more?
absolutely not.
Okay. So this is an original. Okay. Usually I end with worship, but I want to do something a little different today. Is that okay? Alrighty. So this is a song I wrote again when I was in high school writing a lot of songs. And this song is called "Just Leave." It was about a ex-girlfriend I had. Yeah. Oh, here we go again. The clouds are rolling in. There goes another sleepless night. You wanna scream and shout, and then just shut me out. Oh no, not this time. See, I tried holding on, I tried to be strong, but this fight was fixed, knowing it's going home. I can't get through to you, no telling what we'll do. You wanna go, that door's the last thing holding you, 'cause I'm tired of talking, all of this fighting for nothing. I tried to keep you, but if you wanna leave, then just leave. I was a little upset writing this song. Next part says, you sit and ask me why I can't tell you goodbye. and not even think twice. See, I gave my heart and soul and then gave you more, but that would never suffice. Yeah, I tried holding on, I tried to be strong, but this fight was fixed, no winner's going home. I can't get through to you, no telling what we'll do. You wanna go, that door's the last thing holding you, 'cause I'm tired of talking, all of this fighting for nothing. Oh, I tried to keep you, but if you wanna leave, then just leave. Oh, this part says, just go, just go, just go. Don't come back no more, just go, just go, just go. Don't come back, say it back, just go, just go, just go. Don't come back no more, just go, just go, just go. Oh, yeah. I'm tired of talking, all of this fighting for nothing. Oh, I tried to keep you, but if you want to leave, then just leave.
Alex Marion. That's actually a really good song. That could be a hit. You could do that as a, first of all, everybody can relate to it, which is one reason I like when secular music's done here, because it's all part of the human experience. We've all broken up. We've all got, like there's probably every one of us in here has had that conversation. Some of you are like last night, as a matter of fact. But that's a good, seriously, just from a musical standpoint, that could be a country song, that could be a rock song. That's of course, if you said go one more time, I was about to get in the car. I'm like, all right, I'm leaving. What the heck? That was really, really good. Once again, Alex Marion, you may be seated. Good stuff. I love being in a world where we can not deny the real world. You know what I mean? We can worship the Lord and also say that, that's, yeah, maybe a little bit. Good stuff. Thank you for being here. And our outreach this month, of course, is the Atlanta Music Festival, which is next Saturday. Kid and I are going out of town this week, but he doesn't know it yet. We're gonna be back in time to go to some of this at least. And looks like they've got it going on. I mean, it looks like they've got vendors, and it's a big undertaking to host a festival like this. And as I told you last week, they're supporting, I think, 4 or 5 charities that the proceeds of this goes to. So I like that. I like buying a ticket, going and enjoying some music, and feeling like you've made a contribution. Have y'all noticed it? It's public. Everywhere I go, they ask if I want to make a donation to something. And the first 4 to 5 times I've done it, I'm like, okay, no problem. Now I'm like, I got y'all. The last, because sometimes I run by the store 2 or 3 times in a 2-day period, just to pick something up. And I'm like, I got to hit y'all next time. But something like this, you can just buy that ticket. It's a lot of bands for that amount of money. So that's awesome. Our event, looks like a lot of you've already got your hotel room, so that's great. We're already gonna have a bigger turnout even than I had sort of anticipated. If you don't know what I'm talking about, on the weekend of May 19th and 20th, we're doing a meditation weekend. We're going to Jekyll Island. Depending on how you drive, Jekyll Island is 4-ish, 5-ish hours. It's not a bad drive at all. I would tell you, if you're not accustomed to the drive, go to the bathroom in Macon, because once you get on 16, It's like you've gone into the wilderness. So I've just give you just. I don't know why somebody hasn't built like a big mega store on 16 because it would do so well. It must be, I don't know. But it's a beautiful drive. If you've never seen Georgia's Golden Isles, they're a different. I'm more of a Florida Panhandle guy, but there's a kind of beauty to the Atlantic coast it's very different. The water's usually colder. It's not as turquoise blue as the other side, but it's still beautiful. And one thing I do love about Jekyll is Jekyll's not. It's not like a super kid friendly place. It's like it's very old school, not stuffy, just old school, and but there's plenty of places to stay, and it looks like most of you have already found that. So if you wanted, I know it's a lot of driving for one day, but if you can't spend the night, you could very feasibly drive down early Saturday morning, have the day. We're all going to be around, so I'm not going to do an official lunch somewhere, but I'm sure the island's small, so somebody will find somebody during the day. And if you want to stay for the sunset meditation, which I'm not exactly sure where on the beach we'll do that, but we'll let you know as soon as we get there. You could still be back home. I've done it in one day before. It's not that bad. And but if you want to spend the night, that would be great. We're doing a sunrise meditation. We're not going to yell at you if you don't get up for the sunrise. It's like this is a good kind of getaway. But it will be beautiful. The sunrises there are beautiful there on that side. So if you don't know where you're going to stay, I usually use Booking.com, but Hotels.com is good. Trivago's good. One good thing, the reason I use Booking a lot is I'm not paid to advertise for them, but the more you use them, you get certain ratings, so they'll alert you when there's a good deal. And sometimes when a hotel hasn't sold out, they drop their prices a lot that day. So much easier. Now, I don't remember how the heck did we find hotels back in the day. I don't even know how you did that. Did you call and ask if you got vacancy? Or, but man, if it's late at night, that's kind of dicey. But anyway, I'm really looking forward to this, and we will not have service that Sunday, May 20th, here, because we'll be there. I initially thought about doing it both places, but I thought that's too confusing. So I don't like to cancel services here, but we've done it 2 or 3 times. It didn't seem to hurt the flow at all, so we'll be good. I'm assuming you're continuing the pay it forward. I've actually paid it forward 2 or 3 times lately that I don't have any problem telling, to encourage other people to do it by telling my experience, but sometimes I feel like people are kind of private, and I think I just kind of pick up their vibe if they're not cool with me posting something about it. So, but it is going on all the time. Some of you you practice this in your daily life anyway, whether we call it to Metron. And it's interesting. For some reason, Facebook now finally decided to let me have memories. Up until now, all these years I've never had memories, and when I go to the settings, I go, this is not available to all Facebook users. I'm like, what the what? Like I was forced to live in the now. But the point is, now that I have memories, it was cool. Yesterday I was looking at, it's hard to believe that was 2016, but we were doing every week was a different thing, the walking and the eating, whatever. And it's just, I like seeing, where you were a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, whatever. It gives you some context. So that's cool. I don't know if it's Russian bots that did it but finally, I guess Mark Zuckerberg decided to let me experience what the rest of y'all are experiencing. I think that was everything I needed to announce. I love your receptivity, and I love the way you've received this word. I think it's working in all of us, actually. So if we're ready to officially get started for the podcast. Welcome to Metron Live. Those of you who are listening to this podcast, we're coming to you live from Metron in historic Midtown Atlanta. Metron, give the podcast people a hand so they'll know that some people are here. I'm not just making it up. I love streamers and I love podcast people, but I got to have some warm bodies in seats I cannot do what I do. I mean, I could look in a camera if I had to. As a matter of fact, this week, this interview thing I was doing at this production studio, they were just going to ask me questions, and I just went on and on and on and on, and because I kept looking at the guy like, cut me off. And he says, no. When we were through, he said, no, I didn't want to break your flow. He said, we don't usually have somebody that can talk this much. Usually they just answer. I said, well, I'm used to filling up a lot of time with a microphone, so that's not a problem. But our series this month is taken from 1 John chapter 4, verse 17. These three words I want you to remember: as he is. It comes from that passage where John is talking about there's no fear in love, perfect love casts out fear. It says, because as he is, so are we in this world. The rest of the title is manifesting the Christ in the material world. Why didn't I say manifesting Jesus? Because Jesus was already here, and he himself out of his mouth said, it is necessary that I go away. The understanding of Jesus, as much as we love Jesus, follow Jesus, I still identify as Christian, generally. Love what Jesus did on the cross, but I'm enough of a follower of Jesus to know that even he's not called Jesus now. John says, when I saw him, he had a name written on him. He was called Faithful and True, and his name was the Word of God. And he had a name written on him that nobody knew but he himself, meaning that when we get to the other side, there's a whole other level of revelation that we don't even have yet. In another place, John says, beloved, now are we the sons of God, but it does not even yet appear what we shall be. So there's, if you're just thinking about wearing a white robe and walking on streets of gold, you're really aiming too low, because there's even something greater. And I don't know what that is. Some people on this side have had a glimpse of it. Paul had a glimpse of it and was dumbstruck by it. He said for 25 years passed before he even talked about it, and even then spoke of himself in the third person. I knew a man in Christ some 25 years ago who went to the third heaven and saw unspeakable things. He said, I couldn't even come back and tell you about it. That's why, as I've told you before, I always have a little difficulty swallowing when somebody's on Christian TV telling me that they were in heaven on Tuesday. I had an out-of-body experience. I went to heaven, and Jesus and me went and had a McDonald's hamburger, and I'm like, survey says, like that little needle in my spirit that goes, that didn't happen. That's just going like that. And because I do think there are things that we see that change us, and we can't be glib about them. I don't want to play the emotional card too much, but this is the first time Ray's been here since his mom transitioned. And some of you that, who have lost loved ones, lost isn't the word, who have seen loved ones go to the other side. That's the way I prefer to say it. I don't consider them lost. But that's a very real thing, and when you're actually around it, it's not as terrifying as you think it would be. I mean, you think about what we call death, or what we perceive as death, which I'm not sure even actually exists. We call it sunrise and sunset, but the sun's actually stationary. So I don't think people die. I think they just walk into another dimension that the writer of Hebrews called the great cloud of witnesses. But I know I've been around, my whole life I've been around people going to the other side. And I just have seen this, especially with elderly people, and this doesn't just come from dementia or Alzheimer's, but a lot of times people start seeing loved ones come to get them, help, pass over. And when people have told me, well, my mom saw her mother or whatever, I think, well, she's pretty close. If they ever say, my mom saw Jesus, I think, I got to make sure I got to get my suit dry clean, because we're going to have a funeral in the next 48 hours. Because typically, once people have seen what they perceive to be Jesus, it's really hard to keep them on this side. I've hardly ever seen anybody that saw Jesus that said, oh, I'm afraid to go. If anything, there must be something, and I'm calling him Jesus because that's the only thing I know to call him. you know what I mean, that I'm talking about. But there must be something so magnetic about the presence of God that when people actually do encounter it with their senses, it's an irresistible force. They can't stay on this side. And that's why you have to allow people to go, because it's such a beautiful thing. I mean, this doesn't happen with everybody, but I remember Rutherford telling me when his mom passed, she was lucid right there to the end, and she said, I don't know that I have anything to wear where I'm going. And he said, because he's speaking her language that she would understand from the Bible. He said, well, Mama, you're going to get a robe and a crown when you go to the other side. And she starts like buttoning up, like she's putting something on. And all of a sudden she went, oh, it's more beautiful than I ever imagined. And that was the last thing she said. I told you about my Uncle Harry when he transitioned. He was kind of in and out for the last few minutes there. We weren't in the room with him, but he started kind of speaking from the other side, and he was telling them, he said, you have no idea. He said, it's like cellophane. He said, I can see, I'm looking at you through this. And they thought, again, maybe he's just speaking out of his head, but he said, they're coming to pick up the garbage right now. And that sounds like something, crazy old people would say. My cousin goes over to the window and looks down, and sure enough, the garbage truck is coming to the dumpster outside to pick it up. So he's already like, what is the drones? He's already like seeing the atmosphere from another vantage point. That stuff is real. And I'm saying that to say, even with our revelation, and I want to believe that I have some, but even I don't know it all. And that's why when people ask, what's going to happen in here, what's going to happen in eternity, I don't have all the answers. I think even with Carlton Pearson's movie, and it started a whole lot of conversation again online that I'm amazed people don't know. Like I think, really, y'all just found this out, and there are old arguments going on, and everybody wants to know, well, if everybody's saved, then what? Everybody got to know about Hitler. What happened to Hitler? And they need help. I don't know all the answers to that. I don't know how things get resolved in eternity. I mean, I took dinner to Mom and Dad last night, and Mom was asking me something about Parkinson's disease, and I said, Mom, I don't know. She says, you're supposed to know everything. I said, well, I don't know that. But all that other stuff on the other side is real. And that doesn't mean that grieving is wrong. Jesus, he related to Lazarus on 2 tracks. He knew he was going to raise him from the dead, had already said this is not a sickness unto death. And yet when he saw the tomb of his closest friend, it says he wept. So there's, we're seeing the natural and the supernatural simultaneously, which again is why I like a set like that, where we open up by singing how great is our God, but we also acknowledge people break up. They don't, relationships don't work out. Well, that's got nothing to do with church. Yes, it does. That's the human experience. The real God has to be experienced in the real world. I want to go back. I've probably referred to this verse maybe more than any other verse in 46 years of ministry. But this is Genesis 1:26, and I really like the International Standard Version. There's just some of the ways they interpreted the original language. It just works for me. And in the ISV, it says, then God said, let us make mankind in our image to be like us. Well, isn't that what you've said before? Yeah, it's just there's something about that, phrasing it that way. Let's create them to be like us. In other words, let's don't create them to be subservient. When people say, we're put here to serve God, I don't know. I think we're put here to be like God. That's kind of a different mentality. So he says, let's create mankind and let's see what mankind creates. I would go so far as to say, you think about, like, I bought a new Fitbit watch last night. This is their new verse or something. And I already had one before, and so my app on my phone was linked up with that one. So I get this one, and you have to link it up with your app, and so I took the old one off, and I hit this button, and this thing on my wrist syncs up with this thing that's my phone, and all this information starts. I know we're used to that technology, but I'm still just amazed at that. Like, that's amazing that can happen. You think about the things that human beings have created. One thing, if you've ever been in the San Francisco Bay Area, there's something about driving across the Golden Gate Bridge. It's the mountains and the water are spectacular. So you can't help but think about God, the Creator. But then in the midst of this is this amazing feat of architecture. So it's like the best of God and man together. It's like, wow, look at the nature and look at this. I don't even like heights, and bridges make me a little nervous, but I'm still just so drawn to it. Like, this is just amazing. And it's God and man. It's human beings creating like God. And really, if you think about it, any of us that have had children, you've made people. Isn't that just amazing? God made people with the ability to make more people. What? That's just amazing. You think about how long it takes to build a building, and then you think about, wow, the average, a typical pregnancy is 9 months. That's time to build a skeletal system, a circulatory system, a respiratory system, muscles, all these intricate things where David said, I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. All that comes together under normal circumstances in about 9 months. What? Remember when those of us have had kids, weren't you just like shocked? Like I see young parents just sitting there staring at their babies. Because I think we're still like, what? How did that happen? And I think we all know how it happened, but I'm just saying, even with that, you're like, really? That caused that? Wow. I want to show you this from the Jonathan Mitchell New Testament. No, from The Voice, sorry. This is another translation called The Voice. And I'm not going to do the whole thing. I just like this. It says, God says, now let us conceive a new creation, humanity, made in our image, fashioned according to our likeness. And let us grant them authority over all the earth, the fish in the sea and the birds of the sky, the domesticated animals, and the small creeping creatures on the earth. Now, he's not just talking about having a zoo or a menagerie. That was the world that they were in. So when he says, let them have, for lack of a better word, dominion over the fish, when you got in your car this morning and drove over here, you're exercising dominion over your automobile. You're making this machine transport you from one place to another. Some of you that follow me on Facebook saw some friends of mine down in Cochrane bought. Remember, for those of you that are at my art retrospective, the big one that said love on it. I intentionally did that big just because I needed some bigger pieces. And I met Robert and Denise like in the early 80s. Before Rutherford started his church in Waco, he pastored down in Cochrane, which is where they live. And I went down there and had I guess we called it a revival. And I met them, but we don't really know each other. I don't remember that we've ever spent any time together. Mostly I know them through Facebook. And she streams there. She posted last night, and I can tell she's telling the truth. She said, I've watched everything that you've done, all your streaming. And the way she was naming off, Denise, I'm sure you're watching. The way she was naming off, I've seen you in the mountains, on the seashore, in your car. I thought, wow, she really has. And the reason it came up is I was walking out of Publix one day this week, and I hear somebody go, Jim Swilley. And so I look around, and there's a guy sitting in his truck over there. He said, aren't you Jim Swilley? And I said, yeah, remind me how we know each other. My wife and I used to go to your church years ago. Oh, okay, thank you for saying hello. And that happens nearly every day somewhere. It's happened 3 or 4 times this week. And I was just saying how I've sort of processed that whole thing. I mean, and I'm not even talking about the years I worked with my dad before I started Church in the Now, and ran a Bible school, and, you know, and that's not even counting all the people I knew through the Cathedral of the Holy Spirit, and, you know, I just know a lot of people. And there was a time when somebody would say that, I would think, yeah, well, what happened to you? Where are you now? And I don't think that way now. Now I just think, you know what? This is great. It's never negative. It's like, oh my God, we're so glad to see you. And sometimes we talk. Sometimes they ask where I am now, and I tell them. And I'm getting back to Robert Denise in just a minute, but I've made peace with this because thoughts really are vibrations. And when you keep having a thought that agitates you, it prevents things from happening. Like, you remember when I was telling you a few years ago, this woman wasn't paying attention. She just ran into me from behind and really gave me a whiplash. And yes, I've been to Dr. Sheila. Yes, I did all that. But also, I could tell when I'd get in bed at night and it would hurt, I would be mad at her. I think, oh, that stupid woman, why wasn't she paying attention? And it occurred to me, I've got to forgive her because my anger at her is keeping me from getting a manifestation in my neck. So I remember laying there thinking, you know what, it could have happened to me, and it kind of has happened to me before where I wasn't paying attention. Not quite that extreme, but I thought, she was sorry that it happened. She didn't do it on purpose. I need to forgive her. And my neck got incrementally better after that. So I know that thoughts hold cell memories and keep us from progressing. And I think even my subtle resentment of people who say, we love you so much, but they're not a part of my life now, I've removed that from my thinking. I think that's not a positive way to think about that. Now it's better just to say, oh, that's cool, that, sometime during that, and I know some of y'all that have my back aren't quite there yet. They're like, yeah, well, we still want to fight for you. No. You're going to study war no more. Down by the riverside. No, I don't need protection. This is good. I'm not a victim. We're not victims. And I think until I've made that connection to say, that's just a good thing. When somebody says, I used to go to your church, there's no point in me being mad that, like, yeah, why can't you just drive to Atlanta? That's a stupid way to think. I'm not going to think that way anymore because I think it's preventing even me from going to the next level. So she shared something about that last night, and I love those of you that said, I'm still in your life now. I love you said, I'm glad I wasn't at Church of the Now, and I knew exactly what you meant. I was not offended by that. I'm like, no, I need some now people, because I talk to people all the time that will talk about Church of the Now like it still exists, and I think you've got to get up in the now. I mean, we've been in Metron nearly 4 years. So anyway, Robert, that's a little piece of something she wrote me, but he texted me a few days ago, and he said, because she's very frugal. She's one of those type people that she just doesn't ask for stuff. They have their hands full. I don't think she would mind me telling you this, that they have an adult son who's special needs that lives with them. And those of you that have adult children with special needs know that's a whole other thing. And it changes the way you are with your time and all that kind of stuff. So he had texted me and he said, Denise has mentioned that she really wants that painting, Love. And he said, I want to get it for her. But he said, I want to surprise her with it. So I'm thinking, first of all, I don't like surprises because they're nearly impossible to pull off and they're stressful. My instinct was nearly to say, just tell her you're getting it for her and we'll work it out. But I could tell that he wanted to do it And so they live in Cochrane. He said, could we meet in... well, we ended up, it was Locust Grove, but he said Forsyth. And can we meet at 10:30? And then he said, this is through several texts, he actually decided he was going to try to bring her with him and that my appearing there would be part of the surprise. So I said, well, there's no way I can make it by 10:30 because my space is limited at my loft. So I had taken the pieces that didn't sell and I had stored them at Mom and Dad's basement in Stone Mountain, which means I have to leave my place, go to the U-Haul at place because my car's not big enough to get this in there. And so I've got, some of y'all know, because y'all bought some big pieces, so you know. So that I've got to think about what time it would take to get from my house to U-Haul it, to pick up a piece, to drive about half an hour to Stone Mountain to get those pieces. Then I got to think about what's the quickest way to get that done because my parents don't move fast. So I can't just like appear there and like there's a lot to it. There's like you have to meet on the side. Dad's got to come down. You got to open the thing. It's like I'm thinking there's another 15 minutes there. Then I've got to get to Forsyth. I said there's no way I can make it before 11:30. And even then I'm thinking that's pushing it. So I went ahead and did all the groundwork. Like I went ahead and reserved the U-Haul because I have rented them several times, and there's usually a line of people in there, so it's better go ahead and get your stuff done. Sometimes I've gone there and they didn't even have a vehicle, and so you got to think about all this stuff. And last Sunday, I went to the basement and brought, there were 2 or 3 other pieces I wanted to get to, so I went and brought them up, left them in their dining room. I said, let me explain to you what's going to happen Thursday. I'm going to pull up in this driveway. I'm going to run in. I'm going to grab these pieces. I don't have time to talk. I don't have time for you to make me coffee. I don't have time. None of this stuff. Because, you know, with Mom and Dad, like they don't want, once I get there, they don't want me to leave. I said, I don't have time for you to follow me out of the car. This has got to be like, I'm getting the painting. I got to go. So we brought the stuff up. So I've got all my ducks in a row as far as I know. Get up Thursday morning. And I think, I forgot to factor in morning traffic. And it was unbelievable. So I'm like, I'm not going to stress about this. And I kept thinking, I need to text him and say, there's no way. 11:30, dear Lord. And then I'm thinking, how are you even going to get her out of the house? You know, she can't be away that long. What are you going to tell her? He's a contractor, builder. So he had told her that he was going to pick up tile for somebody, which she's like, why are you going to pick up tile for them? That's not what you know. It's like there's 1,000 moving parts of why this thing ain't going to work. But I thought, no, just leave it alone. That's what he wants to do. That's his intention that he put out there. So he's put a high vibration up there. I'll just meet him up there. I don't know how we're going to do it, but we'll do it. So I get in the car, and I'm thinking, all right, well, where's Forsyth from here? Because that's what he had said at a Tanger outlet, and I knew I'd passed it on 75, but I couldn't remember where it was exactly. So I'm, trying to figure that out. As I get on 75 South, eventually, there's a billboard that says the exit, and I think, well, that's got to be it. There can't be, it must not be in Forsyth because there couldn't be 2 Tanger outlets that close together. So that's got to be it. So I'm driving, still traffic. I'm not even looking at my watch because I'm thinking, it's on now. We'll just try to, hopefully it'll get done. He said if I surprise her with this and I tell her that I went up and met you, she's going to be upset that she didn't get to meet you. Because if we met at all, it was 31 years ago. So, and she considers me her pastor and everything. So it's very important to her. So I'm like, all right, I'm not going to rain on the parade. We'll figure it out. This is all factoring into what I'm talking about, so stay with me. So he sends me, I don't even know what time it is at this point, but he sends me a picture. He says, we're here. Here's what the truck looks like. So I think I've got to pull over and tell him I'm not anywhere any close. What's he going to keep telling her to keep her there? She's got stuff to do. She's got to get back. And all of a sudden, I'm telling you, you know how Einstein said there's two ways to live your life. One is as though nothing is a miracle. The other is as though everything is a miracle. As soon as he sent me the thing, I looked up and I thought, oh, there it is. Okay. So I get off the exit. I'm driving up. And then I think, well, it's a pretty big outlet there. So I thought, well, we didn't say where we're going to meet. So I'm about to text him to say, where do I find you guys? And I did, I was in the parking lot. I said, I think I'm here. And I look up, and there they are. They're walking down the sidewalk. So I pull over, and I get out of the car and start walking toward them. And it's like, you would thought, you can't, I wasn't sure she was going to stay with us because she was just like, Are you Jabril Swilley? She was introducing herself to me. I said, yes, I know who you are. She goes, this is amazing. What are you doing here? And I said, well, your husband has a surprise for you. He wanted to buy a painting for you. And the rest is history. I mean, it was just amazing. And I had a lot going on yesterday, so she had written me something. I said, yeah, and it takes a certain kind of color scheme and wall space because those aren't usually the kind of colors that I use. And I remember when I painted that, it was a really cold day, and I was really longing for spring. And I thought I'm going to do a picture in spring colors. It's going to be my own little private spring, and it's perfect for that. I mean, I really think I must have just painted it for them and didn't even know because that's not even like typically the kind of thing I do, And so I said, I don't have time to write this out. Just call me. So she called yesterday. I said, I don't want to just, I know people that don't believe this way think you're just making up stuff. I said, I don't think you understand. I was there at 11 o'clock. I don't know how that happened. I said, how long have y'all been here? They had just gotten out of the car. I mean, it could not have been more synchronistic. I don't know. It would be over the top to say I was translated, and I'm sure there are naysayers that would be like, well, it don't take that long to get Stone Mountain. Shut up. My point is like, I don't know how we pulled that off for him to get all the places he had, because he had to get a U-Haul too. That piece is just big enough. It'll kind of fit in an SUV if you tilt it up, but it's not easy. And the fact that we even pulled it off at all, the fact that I was there a full half hour ahead of schedule when I didn't even think I was going to make it there by noon. I said it really is, it's kind of a teachable moment that, again, it's not curing cancer, it's not parting the Red Sea, but it's a little miraculous that we were able, there were so many things that could have gone wrong with that. And it was something that was really, really meaningful to her. And it's meaningful to me when somebody appreciates, what you have. I saw Jack and Jackie bought Intuition, and she posted a picture of it today in their home. And I feel like I'm visiting with you. When you have pieces of my art in your home, I feel like a part of me's moved in with you. And it feels very intimate, and I love. Of course, I'm glad you bought them, but I love that you have them and that it matters to you and that you put them up. It's just very cool. I guess I'm saying all that to say that creative ability is in all of us, and that's actually godlike to make things like that happen. As I said, I typically don't like surprises because usually somebody drops the ball. Even last Sunday, I nearly said, those of you that have asked, because several people have asked about that painting, just so you know, I sold a painting, and I thought, no, she might be streaming today, I better not say that. So there's, you've had somebody say, I'm sorry, I can't make it to your surprise birthday party. There's always somebody, and then you got to act like you didn't know, and all that. This was a true, bona fide surprise that just worked out, and it's kind of it's a reminder that, wow, the divinity in us really makes the power of intention very strong. And even the power of agreement. You know what I mean? It's like he said, this is what I want to do, and I completely laid aside my thought of saying, don't try to pull this off. This is going to be too stressful. I hate driving under stress. I hate deadlines. But I thought, no, this is what he wants to do. This is a really sweet thing for her. It's good for me because I sold a piece of art. It's like it's win-win for everybody. So, all right, fine, let's do it. And he had even at one point said, I'll just drive to Stone Mountain. I said, no, it's fine. I get U-Hauls for these pieces all the time. It's no problem. And just the fact that it all worked out. You know how I said we talked about Jesus saying, let us cross to the other side. And I said, second level is rebuke the storm, but third level is the storm is immaterial. I thought of that Thursday morning when I came out of my parking lot and the traffic around my building is in gridlock. And I'm thinking, shoot, how am I going to make how are we going to do this? But I thought, no, we said we're going to do it. Let's cross to the other side. And there's something higher than praying against traffic. Do you know what I mean? You've done it before. You've met me on a couple of times where like, I don't know how we did this. I mean, we're driving the speed limit and all that kind of stuff. But but there's some, haven't you made some destinations that you're like, this was kind of miraculous. What just happened? How did we get? Because I mean, we had plenty. The other thing was I had to take the U-Haul back to Atlanta and then drive out to Greensboro because it was Ken's birthday Thursday because I was spending the night out there. There was no stress to it at all. There was a little Denny's diner there. We sat down and talked, for a long time. Had lunch together. I had plenty of time to get the van back. I still had time to go home and pack a bag. It was like there was nothing stressful at all. I remember getting on the road to Greensboro and I thought, gosh, I'm way ahead of schedule. Like, how is this? I was thinking this is going to be like, oh God, how are we going to do it? Now I got to drive out there. It wasn't that way at all. It was like, oh, well, we're like way ahead of schedule. It makes me think, without just sounding like I have completely lost my mind, it does make me wonder sometimes if we're working ourselves up to a level where time is just immaterial. And is it possible to stop living in Chronos time and start living just all the time in Kairos time? Because Kairos time doesn't really seem to have any stress with it. Chronos time is, oh my God, we're never going to make it. Look at this traffic. Look at this. Kairos time is, hey, we said we were going to do it. Let's cross to the other side. Yeah, but there's a storm. Peace be still. But we could make it even with the storm. That's the point. I think the charismatics aimed way too low because we just got fixated on that peace be still part. Just make the storm stop. Higher level thinking is storm schmorm. It doesn't matter. Do you know what I mean? Life's hard. It's not the devil or whatever. It's just like there are obstacles that we have to deal with. What's your point? If you want to do something, it's like I've told you so many times before when people say, you live downtown? You couldn't pay me to live downtown. Didn't invite you. Nobody's cutting you a check. Didn't ask you to. Isn't there a lot of traffic? Yep. A lot of homeless people right outside my building. I know some of them by name. What's your point? Did y'all go to New York at Christmas? Yeah. Oh, you couldn't pay me to go to New York. Didn't invite you. Aren't there so many people? It's crazy. It's insane. Are you ever going back? Probably next Christmas. I mean, that's... like, I don't know where people got this idea that everything has to be perfect. It's based on their perception, exactly. For the bazillionth time, let me refer you to Joshua 1:6, where after 40 years in the wilderness, Joshua comes back to Canaan, and God says, see, I have given you the city. You look at the previous verse, it says, Jericho was shut up. No one came in, no one went out. In other words, it looked exactly like it looked 40 years before. That would be the time where you'd be like, You got to be kidding me. Seriously? 40 years in the wilderness and this looks exactly the same? That's where most people miss it. Well, we tried to get in. We saw Jericho. It was all shut up. So we just said, I guess we'll go back in the wilderness for another 40 years. Na, 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 na. Other people say, yeah, it's shut up, but God says, I've given you the city, so I guess we're going in. There wasn't some sign that says, see, all the planets have lined up now. And hardly anything ever works that way. This is what I want to get across to people about when you're trying to accentuate the positive. It doesn't mean you're in denial of the negative. There are things that all of us are dealing with. There are things that I deal with every day that I could easily talk about or whatever. They just are what they are. When somebody says, well, how's your dad doing? Well, he's doing about like the way people who have that situation are. There's not that much to say about it. I'm not dismissing it. I'm just saying it's a rite of passage. It's something that I'm having to deal with. I will deal with what I have to deal with as it comes along. There's a reason why Jesus said, take no thought for tomorrow. I'm not saying you don't make plans. It just means you don't lay awake at night and try to figure out how we're going to do that, because you'll figure out how to do it when you get there. But you just waste so much time worrying over stuff. That worry's not going to change it. You need to make a reservation on Jekyll Island and just drive down there and sit on the beach and meditate. That's what you need to do. And if you don't want to sit on the beach, bring yourself a lawn chair and put it out there, or get you a towel or whatever. You do what you want to do. That's why you don't need to apologize about stuff, because if you want to do something, and if you can't do it, then you say, well, we're not going to be able to do that. Fine, okay. Y'all had previous plans, no big deal. Well, I'll catch up with y'all. You know what I mean? It's like, there's way too much pressure that people put on themselves, on other things, that just doesn't, and each other. Undue pressure that people put. I don't understand this one ingredient of religion that just makes everybody have to mind everybody else's business. I just don't understand it. Like, even, Paul writes this long thing about, to the Romans. Basically, chapter 14, 15, and 16 is really all about this. Because it was a big rift in the church about, should you eat meat that had been offered to idols? That seems irrelevant to us now, because that's not what we live in. But it was a big deal with them. And he finally said, look, you're so missing the point. He said, if you go to somebody's house and it's an issue with them, then respect the rules of their house. If you're okay with it, then eat meat, because God doesn't care about this stuff. All this stuff that you're obsessing over on this side, God doesn't care at all about that. I don't want to say all of religion, but a huge percentage of it is just wood, hay, and stubble. If I weren't in the pulpit, I'd use another word. That it's just stuff that people obsess over that doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. But if it matters to somebody else, then that's just called good manners. And if somebody tells me they're an atheist, I don't assume it's my responsibility to convince them otherwise. Romans 13:8, owe no man anything but to love him. And I used not to be that way. I was trained to be evangelical. And, I couldn't even have a conversation with people back in the day, because I'm thinking, how am I going to lead them to Jesus? How am I going to lead them to Jesus? How am I going to close the deal? I've told you the story a million times about, this was back in 81. I was in Nigeria, and I'm up on the rooftop praying, and the Muslim man comes and starts praying with me. And I'm thinking, I shouldn't be doing this. I should be leading him to the Lord. But something in me said, no, just do this. And even though Muslims typically bow toward Mecca, he paced with me. And so I just thought, I don't think we're doing it right. But I'm walking along with a big, tall Muslim with a fez on his head. And I'm like praying in the Spirit and quoting scripture. And he's chanting whatever he's chanting. And I'm thinking, I don't know what we're doing here, but It feels oddly okay. And then years later, you find out that your spirit knew stuff that your mind hadn't caught up with yet. Y'all, I'm starting to feel it again. This is another verse I've referred to a lot, but I want to show it to you in the Jonathan Mitchell. This is John 10, verse 34 through 36. Jesus judiciously replies to them, "Is it not standing written within your law that I say you people are or exist being gods?" He's quoting Psalm 82:6. Since he said gods, or Elohim, to whom God's word or the Logos came to be, or toward whom the idea whose source and origin is God was birthed, toward whom God's message proceeded and was directed into existence, are you yourselves now saying to the one whom the Father set apart or consecrated as holy and sent forth as an emissary on a mission, as a representative into the organized system, into the world, into the cosmos, under the realm of the secular, into the religious and cultural complex, that you are blaspheming because I said I am or I exist being God's son? I know that's very wordy, but this is when he was being rebuked by the religious system by saying he's the Son of God. And he says, why is this so hard for you to understand? He said, your own law. David said, have I not said you are all gods? And if you read the rest of verse 6 in Psalm 82, it says, you are all gods, but you will die like men. Meaning, if I say I'm God, I'm not saying I'm omniscient, I'm omnipresent. I'm saying I have the presence of God in me. Remember last week I said, we talked about how God says to Moses, I'm going to make you God. And in one of in King James it says capital G. I'm going to make you God to Pharaoh, but you're still going to need your brother to speak for you. So when you say you're God, this isn't some crazy psychosis where you're like, I am God and I no longer need you. That's crazy. Nobody's saying that. And he's saying even though you have divinity in you, at some point you will cease to exist in this realm. It doesn't mean you are God in the sense that we have traditionally thought of God. You understand? But by the same token, when you constantly excuse yourself by saying, I'm only human, you're aiming too low because you're not only human. You are human, but you're not only human. Jesus Christ was and is divine and human and divine, as you are human and divine. If you understand this, it will make the Bible make sense to you. When people say, is the Bible the Word of God? You say, it's in there, but it's got human fingerprints all over it. That doesn't mean we throw it out. I could sit there and read it and go, oh, Moses. No. But I still love it. If anything, the humanity of it makes it even more endearing. I can chart Paul's evolution and see the struggle that he had with his own revelation. You know, here's the thing about revelation. Man, I'm feeling the Holy Ghost in this place. I'm not even kidding. The thing about revelation is you take one step forward and two steps back with it, because you get revelation and then your tradition says, is this okay? Is this okay? Is this okay? And you have to decide, well, once Jeannie's out of the bottle, you're not going to make her go back in that little thing and sit on that round couch anymore. That's a reference to I Dream of Jeannie. You can't, you're through the looking glass. So even if you have to work out your stuff, remember, the same Paul who said, I do not let women speak in the church, also said, in Christ there's neither male nor female. Those are two completely different ideas. Why? Because he's working through his own misogyny that was being challenged by his own revelation. The human part of him says, ain't no woman going to tell me what to do. I'm going to let you in a little secret. Much of, especially Abrahamic religions, are based on patriarchy. And they are written, those texts, the Bible, the Quran, they are written by men to men. And there's a lot of humanity in there of men who like to have sex with women, but they don't want anything else from them and consider them as property. Does that mean the Bible's not the Word of God? No, it means that the Word of God came through men who had limited understanding. See, that's why Jesus just freaked people out, because he was just free of that system. You know, it never occurred to him not to have relationships with women, even women that other people wouldn't have considered. Like a man like him shouldn't. Even watching Superstar the other night, it's like that a man like you would waste his time with women of her kind. You know, it's that was that idea of, you know, you can sleep with a woman like that, but you can't bring her into your life. She can't be part of mainstream life. And Jesus didn't see gender or sexuality or any of the things that so much of Abrahamic religions are preoccupied with. He just didn't even think that way at all. One of these days, I don't know if I'm going to write it in a book, but there's some things I want to teach, and it may be to a specialized audience, I don't know. But there's some things, if I really told you what original word said, particularly like when the centurion came to Jesus, the word he used for the man, if I told you what the word actually meant, I don't even know that y'all would be cool enough to go, like, really? That's what that guy said? And Jesus didn't even flinch, because it was a word that was typically used in the Roman Empire of men that had a specific role in other men's lives. And he says, this one's special. And Jesus said, I'll come heal him. And the man's like, no, even as a Roman, I know you don't need to come under my roof. But you speak it. And Jesus said, it's the greatest faith I've ever seen in Israel. Did I just blow y'all's mind? I've kind of talked about it a little bit. It's just when you actually look at the word, because it means that man had that was the function of that man in that centurion's life. And he didn't want that to end. And Jesus didn't say, y'all need to repent. He just said, I'll come heal him. Jesus couldn't get invited to, y'all need to pray for Jesus to get saved, because he couldn't get invited to a lot of churches. Because the stuff, even the harlot who washes his feet with her hair, and he acknowledges, he says, I know what kind of woman she is. And they're like, don't you know what she does for a living? You know, he could have said, I'm not surprised. She's doing a good job with this foot washing right here. You know, she's... I could see how it could happen. I mean, come on. It would take a woman who's kind of used to touching men to be that comfortable in that environment to wash a strange man's feet with her hair. That's a little bit suggestive, don't you think? There's not a wife in here that would go for it if your husband said, now, baby, there's this hooker coming to church tonight, and she wants to wash my feet with her hair, and it's a holy thing. She'd be like, there's going to be a hole in your head. That's not going to happen. And Jesus says, yeah, her sins are forgiven because she loved me. Jesus was so out of he was so off the grid of what everybody thought was righteousness and unrighteousness, and totally. What Jackie said, if you didn't hear that, is the difference between freedom and control. And people who are not free are made very uneasy by free people. When you're free, you just let everybody work out their own salvation with fear and trembling. And even if their path is not your path, you don't even have to have an opinion about their path. You just say, well, that's their path, that's their choice. And if there are consequences with that choice, then I'm sure they'll deal with that. But it doesn't have any bearing on me. My only responsibility is to love them. That's my only obligation. That's the only thing you have to ask. Are they living right? No, that's not what you need to ask yourself. You need to ask, do you love them? Well, I just love the sinner, hate the sin. No, you don't. That's a lie. Because if you love the sinner, you're just going to love them with no conditions. He was saying we have access to the same freedom. It was interesting. One of the questions this producer asked me this week, when he could get me to shut up, he said, he said again, he said, when we first met with you, I said that all 4 of your children have superpowers. What I want to know is, what's the special sauce? What do you tell parents about raising children? And I said, I referred to him to Proverbs 22. I said that in the King James, it says, bring up a child in the way he should go, when he's old, who not depart from it. I always heard that is, you better raise them right, raise them in church, raise them to know right from wrong. And of course, you teach your kids morals and ethics and manners and all that kind of stuff. But that's not what that scripture says. That scripture says, bring up a child in the way he or she should go, according to his original gift or bent. Meaning, you find out what their strengths are and you play to that, and don't try to force them into your idea of what they should be. We all have visions for our kids, and sometimes our kids have a different vision for their life. Guess what? You just have to say, well, that's your vision for your life then. And I guess I'm just going to have to accept you as you are and not be ashamed of you and not lecture you and just say, these are the choices you have made. I've done all I can do to try to guide you in the right direction. I'm going to be here for you, but I'm not going to beat myself up anymore by saying you're not fitting into this pattern, because it may not be the right pattern for you. Let me tell you, that as a parent, that'll be the freest day of your life when you finally just say, my children are who they are. They just are who they are. And God bless them. I love them just like they are. This quote by Dr. Dyer says, you are a divine creation, a being of light who showed up here as a human being at the exact moment you were supposed to. You are the beloved, a miracle, a part of the eternal perfection. If you can get a hold of that, you never have to worry about low self-esteem. You're just like, well, I'm here when I'm... You know, Pearson teaches that we agreed to come here before we got here. And if that's true, then that would mean you shouldn't complain about your life, because if you are an eternal being who gave yourself permission to be born, then you might as well say, well, I apparently, even the hard things I went through, I guess I thought I was strong enough to handle it, so I'm going to completely take myself out of the victim column and just say, well, look what I did. Look what I did. You know, I could say this here. I wouldn't say it other places because it just sounds like you're just bragging. But I thought of this the other day. Not only am I a gay man who always knew he was, I fathered 4 children by 2 different women. That's like, I mean, talk about going against your wiring. I did. I went to a town that never liked me that much, and I didn't like it that much. And I still prevailed there. I still prospered there for whatever. I mean, I went there and started a church out of nothing that became, I've just passed the property day before yesterday. It's still there. We did something. I've never been diagnosed as dyslexic, but the last book I was writing, I was looking at the computer, and I thought, I always spell the T-E-H every time. And I spell because B-E-C-U-A-S-E. Every time. You know I know how to spell those. But I thought, why didn't somebody ever notice? I'm freaking dyslexic. I've done it for so many years, I just never thought about it. But I used to read, I used to drive around, I never saw speed limits. I always saw Timmel Deeps. I read signs backward, did it my whole life. Nobody ever noticed. Still wrote 16 books. You start looking at some of the things you've overcome and you're thinking, I could do anything if I have to. Somebody tells me to meet them at 10:30 with a painting. I don't know how we're going to do it, but we're going to do it. I'll tell them 11:30, still show up at 11. What? and you probably have similar things in your life where you think, I can't even imagine. Mahalia Jackson used to sing, my soul looks back in wonder how I got over. When you look back, you think, how the heck did I do that? So women who were single mothers, who never had enough money and still put their kids through college, and you think, well, how did that happen? I don't know. How did it happen? I don't know. If I ever, and you hardly ever hear me use the word tithe or whatever, but if I ever do talk about tithing or giving, you know what the point of it is to opt out of the world's financial system. It's your way of saying, I don't look at what income and outgo. I'm operating by different principle. It's what the scripture calls rebuking the devourer. And I'm just telling you, there's just a different mindset that has nothing to do with, I'm afraid a tree's going to fall in my house if I don't pay my tithes. It's not about that. It's about, this is crazy to write this check right now. And you know what it's like when you give some and then things look a little worse and you think, well, it's not supposed to be working this way. A true giver says, well, I guess we just need to give more then. I guess we need to push back, not withdraw. You know, my dad says, when a man told him at his first church, he said, I could pay my tithes when I was just making minimum wage, but now that I'm making a salary, I can't tithe anymore. He said, is that a problem? Dad said, no, I just pray that you go back to making minimum wage. And he quit saying so that as he got older. But the point is, if a farmer doesn't have a big enough crop, he doesn't plant less seed. He says, well, I guess we got to double our efforts then. We must not be planting enough. I remember somehow, I guess they must have been teaching at a kids' church, but I remember my kids first heard about tithing, and they were asking me, and they were asking what the 100-fold return was. And in their mind, I remember Judah and Jonah saying, so you're telling me if I give like $10, like the next week I'll get back 1,000? I said, well, it doesn't work that way. I said, I think y'all are kind of missing the point. It's not like playing blackjack. It's like it's a mindset. I said, y'all might better wait on this because I don't think you fully understand. It comes back, and yeah, the 100-fold return isn't one big wave. It's not a tsunami. It's zillions of little waves coming in all the time. That sometimes doesn't look like a check. Sometimes it's somebody picking up the tab at dinner. You think, well, that's $50 I would have spent otherwise. It's like that's the way. You can't look at it in finite terms. It is. It's an abstract. It's spiritually discerned. But all of these things are incrementally making us become more comfortable with our divinity. Because you start thinking, wow, I've already done amazing things. You forget it sometimes. You have to remind yourself. David couldn't face that giant until he reminded himself, I killed a bear, I killed a lion, I guess I can kill a giant. You start thinking about, well, these are the things I already did. I guess I know what I'm doing, even when I don't know what I'm doing. That's why intuition is so important, because sometimes the divine part of you knows stuff that the human part of you hasn't caught up with yet. And the more you get comfortable and the more you understand, oh, that's what intuition feels like, you lean to it more and more because it's the voice of God. It's divine. I'm telling you, it's walking in the Spirit. It's just knowing what you're supposed to do and not even know the reason why you're doing it. Sometimes you do things and you don't know why you do them. Sometimes you give to somebody and they don't know, they don't get it, and you're like, this isn't about you. It's like Paul saying, you have more need to give than I do to receive. That's a very powerful thing. And let me tell you, you got to get your sea legs when you start walking in intuition, because it's very different from leaning to your own understanding on everything. And you're just going to have to kind of divorce yourself from logic and say, well, I can't live completely illogically. I mean, in some places, 2 + 2 is always going to equal 4, but there's a whole other area where 2 + 2 equals 17 3/4. What she was saying is, the more you walk in it, the intuition actually becomes logical. Because you think about this, you're doing illogical things all the time. you're driving a car 50, 60, 70 miles an hour down a road where other cars are coming the opposite direction that are just inches away from your car. That's crazy. The fact that we all got, and then everybody's had fender benders, and some of you have worse than others. The fact that you got here today is amazing. We're so used to it, we don't like I told you when I was in, I think it was the last time I was in Peru, I was taking a group through the Amazon forest, and the guy that was leading, he said, there's none of you Americans that could live out here in this jungle for 24 hours. He said, you wouldn't even know how to survive. I said, that may well be, but if you came to where I live and drove in 5 o'clock traffic on I-285, I'm pretty sure my chances of survival here for a day are going to be better than your chances of doing something that I do every day and don't even think about while I'm multitasking and listening to music. So you don't realize it, even with technology, you're already doing so many things that are just, like every few days, they advertise some new phone that's doing something, and you think, how is that even possible? I can deposit a check into my bank account on my phone. Like the first couple of times I did that, I said, did that work? Because I like the feeling of getting the receipt back. And it takes a couple of days before it shows up. You keep checking, like, did that work? Because I feel kind of crazy. It says, position the check. Like, really? And it goes, click. And we'll take a picture. What just happened? Did I just deposit it? I don't know. Then a couple of days later, like, well, there it is. What? Did the check fly through the air? Like, what the what? So we're the same way you were talking about how intuition becomes logical. Technology becomes logical to us. See, if you'd never heard of, like if I brought you from another time and you were sitting here and I'd say, later this afternoon, moving pictures will appear on this screen. And people will be acting out stories. And there's several other theaters in this building where the same thing will be happening with sound. And these people are not live. This is recorded from another time. As I've referred to before, the head of the patent office in 1900 wanted to close the patent office because he said everything that can be invented has been invented. That was before the airplane. That was before space travel. That was before radio, television, certainly before computers. And that was the head of the patent office. He said, there's nothing else. What else could there be? What if there's a whole other area that we haven't even thought of now? I remember, this just amazes me. It was right when texting had first come out. It was Father's Day. Jared was in Europe with his band. Judah and Christina had gone to the Philippines on a missions trip. I'm sitting there and I look and it's Jared wishing me Happy Father's Day from Germany. 2 minutes later, it's Judah and Christina wishing me Happy Father's Day from Southeast Asia. And I remember just looking at that, thinking, this is amazing. They're on the other side of the globe, and they're typing in letters that I'm reading nearly simultaneously. Have y'all ever heard of it? My point is, we're just walking on the precipice of the divine all the time. The next level is just bringing it to where it controls the way that you think, the way that you react to things. The next thing I want to show you, this is Matthew 5, 14 through 16. I use this a lot. I even, Carlton had posted pictures of the big ads of Come Sunday in Times Square. And I posted this under there because I just love the way it says it here in the message. It says, here's another way to put it. You're here to be light, bringing out the God colors in the world. God is not a secret to be kept. We're going public with this, as public as a city on a hill. If I make you light bearers, you don't think I'm going to hide you under a bucket, do you? I'm putting you on a light stand. Now that I've put you there on a hilltop, on a light stand, shine. Keep open house. Be generous with your lives. By opening up to others, you'll prompt people to open up with God, this generous Father in heaven. Now, it's interesting because in some places in John, Jesus says, I am the light of the world. But in other places, he says, you are the light of the world. Which is true? Yes. They are both true. Well, the thing that people usually will say is, well, he's like the sun and we're like the moon. We don't really have our own light. We just reflect his light. I don't know that I buy that model anymore. I think God placed something in each of us that is so like him that our light shines. No matter what we do. You know, y'all have heard of Elvis Presley, right? You know the only Grammys Elvis Presley ever won was for gospel music? He never won anything for rock and roll. And he's called the king of rock and roll. Why? Because he loved gospel music. That's where his passion was. That's where his bliss was. He did the other stuff as a means. He did the other stuff so he could stay up all night with the Jordanaires and sing gospel music. That's what he loved to do. So he created a life where he could do what he wanted to do. That was his light. We can all do that. No, there was one of him and thousands of people imitating him. Once you find your light, this is why it's such a waste of time to try to be somebody else. There's not supposed to be anybody like you. All anybody else can do is encourage you to let your light shine. Every minute that you waste being intimidated by somebody else or jealous of them or in competition with them, you've just wasted a whole day of divinity. You can't compare. There's not which is more beautiful, an azalea or a dogwood. You can't compare. They're just two different things. Even though they're both flowers, they're just different. It's a stupid question. When somebody says, "What's your favorite?" I'm not sure I have a favorite anything anymore. Honestly, I used to think fall was my favorite season, and then I realized fall's not my favorite season. I love fall, but there's 3 other seasons of the year that I'm not sitting around pining for. I'm not sitting around wearing corduroy in the jacket like I'm just waiting for October. No, I'll be happy when October gets here. But when it's hot weather, there's things about hot weather that I love. Isn't it hot in the South? Yeah. It's humid, isn't it? Mm-hmm. You still going to live in the South? Because I love all the seasons. I love all the days. I love all the... When people say, I want to take you out to eat, what's your favorite kind of food? I don't have a favorite kind of food. I can tell you a couple of things I might not like, but pretty much I'm an omnivore. What do you like? I probably like that too. Turn me on to one of your favorite places. It might be something I don't know about. The main thing's going to be about us sitting around a table talking anyway. I'm not going to try to pronounce his name. This mystic, I like some of the stuff that he has said. It says, if you want the divine to become alive within you, first of all, you as a human being have to become absolutely alive. When we talk about love your life, enjoy your life, love your day, that's not some thing that's just supposed to be a meme on Pinterest. That's a real thing. Love your life. Love where you live. Love your city. Love your car. Even if you want something better, love what you have now. If you're selling your house, bless the one that you live in now and say, house, thank you. You are an awesome roof over our head. We have wonderful memories here. And if it's time to let you go, we decree that you go into the hands of somebody that will have as much happiness here as we have had. And now it's time to move on. That's why I'm telling you my perception about church in the now. I don't miss it. I love it. I don't miss it. I'm proud of it. I don't miss it. I'm in the now. It was so wonderful. It was. So is this. And if people don't see that, I think, well, then I don't know what to tell you. You know, it's like, this is my perception of things. I bought this shirt because this shirt made me really happy. It just made me happy. I went in to buy something else, and the guy said, have you seen this? And I said, I think I'm going to take it. Because it just made me happy. I've gone into stores and people talked to me into buying things that didn't make me that happy. And I got home and I thought, why did this guy talk me into this? I don't like that. I wanted to wear what I wanted to wear. That's one of the good things about aging. You finally start figuring out, this is what I like, this is what I don't like. Don't try to tell me what I don't like, because I know I don't like that. Because I've already bought those things before, and I got home, I didn't like them, and I never wore them. And then finally, by this, this is important. I'm probably going to teach more on this next Sunday. But it says, see the divinity in others, and you will find it within yourself. This whole thing about unconditional love is so connected to the idea of divinity. Bill Gaither wrote that song back in the 70s, I Am Loved, and the lyric says, for the one who knows me best loves me most. In church world, if people know certain things about you, they stop loving you. That's not the way God is at all. This woman, her sins are forgiven because she loved mine. He already knew it. Oh, I'm going to stop it right there. But that's some good stuff right there. And it'll make you stop being frustrated with other people. Because once you see the divinity in them, the humanity about them becomes a lot more palatable. It's like, well, I can put up with that about them because I see the divinity in them. Let's all stand. Did you get anything out of this today? One person, Ray is the only person that got anything out of this. Ray's the only one that applauded. Y'all can't clap and stand at the same time. And y'all are supposed to be like God. God can clap and stand at the same time. This is good stuff. Let's run this, and when we're through, Ken's not here today, so those of you that with the teardown, if you'll just be aware of that, we'll get it done. And thank you. You know, those of you that pitch in and help every week, you know I never take it for granted. I really, really thank you for what you do. That's everybody from the tech team to the volunteer people, to everybody. Thank you so much. Please remain standing. I think what you're doing is worthwhile. Hit that so the YouTube
Contributing to Metron is quick and easy.
Easy peasy.
Simply text the amount you would like to give to 404-620-5044. And now you can give anytime by texting this number. You will then receive a one-time registration form that links your phone number and opens your account at SimpleGive. Complete the form, and you will then receive a successful registration and donation.
I don't think Danny's here today, but if you have
For
checks,
additional
make them
information on
JES,
your account, visit missionthenow.com and click the
proceed.
support tab. Then, my online donation.
If you have cash, pay it forward.
When you contribute to Metron, you're also supporting the charity or organization of the month. Thank you for your investment in Metron.
If you want to, we're going to bless him too, but if you want to bless Alex, you can do that. Or if you want to pass your cash to somebody else and bless them, it's all circulating. It's all good. And you're in the God class. That's why you can be creative in your giving. You are going to have a beautiful day, a beautiful week. You're going to do great things this week. Good things are being attracted to you because of your magnetism. You have that divine nature that brings good things to yourself. Your body's well, your mind's at peace, your spirit is free, and you wake up tomorrow saying, this is the day the Lord has enabled me to make. I will rejoice and be glad in it. I love you.